Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? I just heard the word froze. Well, it is a little chilly out there. It's going to be worse later today, I hear, or with wind and everything like that. But I keep saying this, but I think spring is going to be here to stay pretty soon. I really, really hope so. But we're in Northern Illinois. We are hardy people, and we will do really well with this. So we're going to start with a few. Well, first of all, welcome to everybody here, and welcome to everybody joining us at home as well. I do want to say a thank you for the flowers on the altar. Some of these are from my yard, but I was out taking pictures of the massive tulips at the Meniere's, in the Meniere's yard, one of my neighbors, and she said, take some for the church. So I thank Steve and Shelley Meniere for letting me be able to grab some of the tulips this morning to be able to brighten the altar area today. I do want to remind everyone that today, immediately following the service, there will be a hopefully quick ad board meeting. This is basically anybody can attend, but those who are on the ad board are the only ones who have votes. These are for two things that we needed to cover before we have our next meeting in June. So please just remember, if you're on the ad board, we'll have a 5-minute break, and then we'll bring everybody back in who's on the ad board for that immediately following the worship service. The United Women of Faith invite the women of the church to a salad luncheon on Wednesday, May 17th at noon. There's a sign-up sheet outside the office. Please sign up if you can attend. Consider bringing a guest, and if you know the kind of salad that you would like to bring to share, please jot that down too. You do not need to be a member or one who's always come to United with Women of Faith to attend. And if you have any questions, see Pat Eddy, who's the chair of the United Women in Faith. Again, that's on May 17th. And then later on today, we have confirmation at Wyanett. So we have a number of our confirmands here today. If you need a ride, we're going to be meeting here at 4:45 to take people over. Otherwise, at 5 o'clock, meet at the Wyanett Church. This time to see a new church and to be able to hear the history of some other United Methodist churches in our area. And then we also have youth group at 6:30 back here at our church. On Wednesday of this week is when we are doing the packing meals for Feed My Starving Children in Aurora. We have, I think, 11 signed up, and so we're excited about being able to do that. If you are planning on going, please see me immediately afterwards, and I've got a piece of paper that I can give to you that gives you a little more information, as well as we're leaving here at 11 a.m. on Wednesday. And then on Saturday, we have our next casual worship service at 5:30 p.m. So remember that. It's this coming Saturday, May 6th, for the casual worship service. Change the World for April. This is the last one. We have 5 Sundays in April. So this is the last one that all the money in the jar that's located outside of the sanctuary will be donated to Buddy Bags. And then for May, it is going to the Heifer Project, which is a worldwide organization that helps bring animals to people who are in need for both food, and you are also required to give the first offspring to one of your neighbors so that they have an opportunity to be able to have food. The office manager position is now open. Marcia is still here through the end of June, but the search to find a new office manager, which is approximately 25 hours a week, is now ongoing. So if you are interested, please check out our Facebook page or the table in front of the church office for a description, and then just give us your information if you're interested in an interview. Let's see. Then we've got the next Hour Table meal is not tomorrow, but on Monday, May 8th, so a week from tomorrow, and that's from 5 to 6 p.m. Any graduates that are going to be graduating from junior high, high school, college, please let us know by May 21st who's graduating, and we will be sure to lift those up in a future service. Oh, and I think we have decided that the Confirmation Sunday is going to be Sunday, May 28th, which is Memorial Day weekend, but if you're here, we would love to have you here to be able to support our confirmands as they take the next step in their faith journey. So I think those are our announcements for today. If you'll please bow your heads with me for our focusing prayer as we begin our worship of our Lord. Creator, Lord of all creation, we gather this morning to worship you. Turn our minds away from work, our worries, our to-do lists, so that we can bring our whole selves before you. May our songs, our prayers, our words, and our meditations of the heart always be pleasing to you. It is through Christ that we pray. Amen. And if you're able, if you please rise as we join Esther in our responsive call to worship.
God calls to us in the midst of our lives.
Pause a while and know that I am God.
God calls us from our lofty ambitions, our haughtiness, from our occupations with marvels and matters beyond our scope.
Let be and learn that I am God.
Come, behold the astounding things God has done in the world.
God is our shelter, our strength, ever ready to help in time of trouble.
People of God, hope in our God. God is with us now and forevermore.
Amen and amen. If you can, please remain standing for our opening hymn, which is number 89 in your hymnals or found on the screens. Joyful, joyful, we adore you. and not kids yet, because we have something a little special that we're having today, and they're getting their costumes on right now. But we are excited to be able to have Vacation Bible School again this summer, which is great. And so our two co-leaders, Amanda and Sarah, are going to come forward, and they're going to share for us a little bit about our Vacation Bible School going to be held this July.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Nord,
And I am Sarah Hildebrandt.
and we are so excited to announce that we will be hosting Vacation Bible School this summer. Let me introduce you to my friend, Supermere.
Hello, I am excited for Vacation Bible School. I can't wait to meet all the little superheroes when I get to meet everyone.
Well, VBS will be held Sunday, July 9th through Thursday, July 13th from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m., with registration starting at 5:45. Our theme is Hero Hotline, called together to serve God.
That sounds so fun. Who can attend VBS?
VBS will be open to any child who is going into preschool through 5th grade. There will be an online student registration form as well as a paper registration form coming in mid-May.
Terrific. Do you need volunteers to make VBS possible?
Yes, we sure do. Sarah and I are looking for volunteers to help July 9th through 13th. There are volunteer forms on the table outside of the office, right here. And then just FYI, Shepherd is when you would be with a group like K First, and you would take them to each of the stations and stay with the same group all night. We would love as many volunteers as possible. Even if you aren't able to help all 5 days, we would still love for you to fill out a form and mark your availability.
What about the youth?
We would love for the youth to help as well, 6th graders through 12th graders. They too can fill out a form on the table outside of the office.
Oh no, what if I'm on a cruise or visiting my family that week of Vacation Bible School? Can I still help out in another way?
Yes, you can. We are looking for a group of people to help us decorate the upstairs hallway and classrooms in June. If you are interested in decorating, fill out a volunteer form. Another way you can help is by donating a monetary gift that will go towards supplies for this special event. You can write VBS on the memo line and put it in the offering plate. Be on the lookout this summer for a sign-up sheet of different snacks you can purchase and donate to VBS. Lastly, you can help us by spreading the word of our VBS details to family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and pray for the leaders, volunteers, and children that will be attending VBS this July.
Wow, there are so many ways that the members of our congregation can help with VBS. It is going to be such a fun time for all.
Yes, it sure will be. If you have any questions regarding VBS, please contact Sarah or myself. I can't wait to see all of our superheroes at Princeton First United Methodist Church in action these next few months. Thank you.
Yes, we are very excited to be able to have Vacation Bible School again this year, and we are actually also going to be helped out by St. Matthew's Lutheran Church. They are going to be joining with us. It's going to be held here, but St. Matthew's is helping out as well, so we're excited about that. Now, if there are kids who want to come forward for the children's message, you're welcome to do that right now. Hi, guys. How are you? Good. I think we have a couple of other ones coming up too. Okay. I guess I'm being relegated to the side here. So, hi guys. How are you? Good, good, good. So, some of you are in school. Some of you aren't, right? You're in school. I think we've got 5 who are in school and Henry's running. Okay. Hi, Kira. How are you? Good. So 6 of you who are in school, and 2 of you who are you in preschool yet, or do you go to daycare or anything? Do you go to grandma's as well? That's kind of, there we go. Okay. So, but for those of you who are in school, are you excited that you only have like a month left of school? Oh, that was a little quick. Okay. Yes and no. Why is it yes and no for you, Eden?
Yes, because it's of summer break. No, because I have a really nice teacher.
Well, that's good. That's wonderful that you like your teacher. And Bryce, why is it no for you?
I like school.
Because you like school. That's a very good thing. Keep that up. And Morgan, why is it yes, you're excited it's about over for you?
Because I don't want to be all in there every single day.
Okay. Okay.
And I want to be on summer school because there's a lot of field trips, and I only get one field trip every year.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. Okay, so summer school. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to try and wrestle control back over here. Okay, so in less than a month, you will be on to the next grade or maybe going to school for the first time or like that. So when you go to school tomorrow, can you just go to your next grade's classroom because you're ready to do that already? No, why not?
My brother is going to a new room tomorrow.
Oh, he is. So that's very good. Well, congratulations, Henry. I hope you enjoy it. Okay. Well, you normally can't just go to whatever classroom you want because there are rules that state you can't change classrooms until the next school year starts, right?
But there is a day on the 10-day countdown where we can go in other classrooms.
Okay, well, thanks for ruining my whole point here, but okay. So I'm glad that so Aiden, does that help you to learn about where you're going to be going next year then?
No.
Okay, well, okay, I'll have to figure that one out later. Okay.
Last night we had second graders coming into our classroom.
Okay.
They had like cats, and then they learned about it, and then they read books, and then you got to hear what they did. And
I'm glad that you had a very good time. Okay, well, good. So, well, my point in all this I was trying to get at is there are rules that we have to follow sometimes, right? Are you allowed to just go out of your classroom at any time whenever you want to? No. Even if you have some... Yes. Okay, and sometimes you need to use the bathroom. You're absolutely right. But do you like rules or do you... Shh. Okay, thanks. Do you like rules, Hannah, or not?
I have no idea.
Okay, and that's all right. It's probably a very good answer to say, actually. So rules are there to help us and to keep order. So what if mom and dad decided that whenever we sit down to the table eat, that everyone could just grab whatever they want whenever they want it? Would that be fun? It probably would be fun for the first time until either dad or your brother or sister took something that you wanted and you didn't get any of it. That wouldn't be fun, would it? No, it wouldn't. Most rules try to make things as fair as they can. Do we have a rule about where you can sit in church? We don't. You're absolutely right. We can sit wherever we want to.
Why does Grandma and Grandpa sit there every time?
Okay. So that was another thing, is sometimes there are unwritten rules that people like to sit in the same spot in church. You're right. Okay, that is an unwritten rule, but there are no official seating charts in the church.
Why do my mommy and dad sit in the same spot every...
Because they like sitting there, okay? Okay, shh, guys, I need to, we've got to keep going on. I know you have good questions, but one more question, that's it.
Why does the choir have their own spot?
That's a very good question. Now, there are assigned seats for the choirs when they're here because they need to sit together to be able to all come up at the same time. If we had one up in the balcony and one at the back and one over here, it might take a long time for everybody to get in place. So that's a very good question, Morgan. It is. Okay, but we don't have rules about where people have to sit. We don't have rules about who can come to church. I sit in this spot because I want to sit with you guys, okay? But anyone can come to our church regardless of age. We're like a family. All of us can come together. And we sing together, we pray together, we learn together. And there are also some other things that there are no rules against, and that is coming to do things together. Like we can help with Vacation Bible School. If you're young, you can go to Vacation Bible School, but if you're older, you can help with it. We are going to be going to a baseball game called the Pistol Shrimps. Have you ever heard of them? Okay. You're going to go to Shrimp Fest. That's a different thing in Princeton, but okay. Shh. Guys, that's okay. Let me just keep going. Okay, I hear you, I do. But so there's plenty of things that we can do, including going to a baseball game. There's going to be a croquet tournament and a picnic later on this summer. These are all fun things that you can go to, but we have rules when we're there, like we have to be kind to each other. We make sure everybody gets some food before people get seconds, and that certain people, like me, should be allowed to win at certain games, right? No. That's an unwritten rule, right? Okay, well, that last one isn't right. But we need to be just 1 second. We need to be thankful for a lot of rules in this life. Hold on. No, I'm talking right now, okay? I'll get to you. We can be thankful for a lot of rules in this life, but we also have to be thankful that God has no rules about who can worship him and how much he loves each of us, okay? So really quick, Hannah.
At Shrimp Fest, a giant shrimp came over to me for a pic.
That's really neat. Good. And last one.
This on.
Very good question. It is a different color, and I'll explain that in a different children's message, okay? Okay, I'll answer those in another one. Thank you so much for all of your questions and for listening so well. If you can head up to nursery or children's message now. Oh, I'm literally sweating. Oh my goodness. I know, exactly. I give so much credit to all of our teachers. Let me say that, whether it's Sunday school or anything else. Wow. Deep breath, Ryan. Esther, would you like to come forward and bless us with our first scripture reading?
They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone, because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all, as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved.
Thank you, Esther, for that reading from Acts. And for those of you who are able, if you would stand for our gospel reading today. John chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. These are the words of Jesus. Very truly I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again, Jesus said to them, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. You may be seated. Rules. So many people detest them, but I believe they are there for a reason, to keep order. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am a proud rule follower. Does that mean I never break the rules? Of course not. I've gotten 2 speeding tickets in my life, and I also admit to having scissored off the do not remove tags on my pillows. I'm a bad boy, I know. But overall, I much prefer to live life by the rules that have been established, Because 1, I find life goes smoother that way, and 2, I am not one who needs to call attention to myself by breaking them. On the rare occasion that I do break the rules, normally there's a very good reason, or at least a reason I've convinced myself is ethical enough to risk breaking them. What I find frustrating in this life is when people cheat by breaking the rules only for selfish gain, or that there are rules that I didn't know existed. There are lots of these unwritten rules throughout life, especially in relationships and sports. No relationship comes with a handbook. It doesn't matter if it's marriage, parent-child, boss-coworker, or friendship. You have to work out the rules or the accepted ways of relating to each other as you go along. The frustrating part of relationship rules for me is that while I like to follow them, they differ from person to person. You can joke with some people, you can't with others. You can forget some people's birthdays, but if you do that with others, you may literally and figuratively end up in the doghouse. And then there's sports, which I admit I am not great at understanding, for there are tons of unwritten rules that vary from sport to sport. This is a busy time of year for sports. Major League Baseball has started. Both the hockey and basketball professional leagues are in the playoffs. There's even spring football happening. Unwritten rules in baseball include not stealing bases when you're winning by a ton of runs, and you don't spend time admiring your home run. In golf, you don't walk in the shot line of another player. Now, none of these are technically illegal, but it's considered bad sportsmanship if you do them. But then there are actions considered just fine in some sports that are grievous in others, even for the fans. I've always considered it strange that in basketball and football, fans in the stands are allowed to yell and scream as loud as they want to at the opposing team to try and get them to mess up when shooting or kicking. But in tennis or golf, the game is actually stopped if fans become unruly or too loud. You can't make noise when their game is actually being played. Can you imagine how much easier it would be to shoot a free throw in basketball if people weren't yelling at you or waving their hands to distract you? And I have to say that I learned something new this week about tennis. Tennis is one of the games that I like playing the most. I'm not good at it, but I like playing it. But I went to the high school boys meet this week. And after one of our kids, who we have several of them that are from our church that are playing on the team, after one of them hit a really good shot, I started clapping. And I was like, gently a hand was placed on me because I didn't realize this, but in high school tennis, you aren't supposed to applaud, or you're certainly not supposed to boo, but you're not supposed to applaud either. So it's to make sure that the kids can concentrate on things. So it was a good thing that they told me that, but I just didn't know it. To me, the rules should be the same all the way through, but of course that's not the case. Some of these regulations are just understood and accepted. They aren't printed. And if you make a mistake, you learn just like I did. Now, we might shake a head at these rules, wondering why they have to be. But even in the church, we have rules that are usually obeyed, but aren't posted on the doors when people come in. Ones like, again, you shouldn't sit in someone else's pew, even though no one actually owns any of these pews, and visitors can't know that that's where normally someone else sits. Or the rule that you should at least chuckle at the pastor's corny sermon jokes, even if they aren't funny, because if you don't, you'll only get more. And at least before the pandemic hit, every church potluck was required to have at least one bean salad and one casserole made with mushroom soup with fried onions on top. I just have to mention that this rule was blown to smithereens at one meal we had back at Elkhorn, which was my first church appointment on my own. There was always a potluck meal before every ad board meeting. This was a Monday in February, and it might have actually been George Washington's birthday. There were probably about 12 of us there, and there were only 2 types of food brought in, a beef dish and a cherry dessert. It was so comical that with all the food possibilities in this world, we only got to eat beef and cherries for supper. But I digress. People didn't get the rules sheet that night that someone needed to bring a salad, a potato, a bread. When those unwritten rules aren't followed, things just don't feel right or change needs to happen. Too often, though, the church's unwritten rules go deeper than those examples. It may be that the church will only accept people who look like us, believe like us, act like us, dress like us, which is certainly not what the first church was all about. Our passage from Acts today that Esther read describes how after Jesus was done appearing to people after his resurrection, providing proof he was truly alive, the people who believed in him gathered together for support and encouragement, even finding family in each other. Now, some Christians would say that the church needs to get back to this model, that everyone should sell their possessions and give everything to the church, and that then we all live in harmony, sharing most meals together, worshiping every day. And while that does sound like it would be good for accomplishing all of God's intentions, we also have to realize that this model didn't last, did it? I'm glad they tried the communal living arrangement, and they were able to spend lots of time together, bolstering the beginnings of Christianity. But as the scripture says, the Lord added to their number those being saved. And I imagine that the number became just too big to work well. And then there's the simple fact that we are human. People have differences of opinion. We have different ways of living life. There were bound to be conflicts. And being human also includes the fact that most people need to work to have a place. They need to work to have a place to live, to eat, to be able to give and help others. Selling possessions might have worked when there were only 100 people to support. But as the church got bigger and bigger, it would have been more difficult to maintain a calendar of only worship and fellowship without additional funds coming in that would support everyone. So even though I don't think the Acts 2 model of church would work very well today, we can look to some of its rules and guidelines that are still applicable to our faith family in 2023. First, the scripture says those involved were devoted. To me, that means they weren't just bystanders or only in this for what they wanted. They devoted themselves to listening to teachings, supporting each other in community, spending time with each other, and praying for the needs of many. Although there are so many things that compete for our attention and time in today's world, your church is one of the good things that we can do. We try to do positive things in our community and world here, and hopefully you as an individual are positively affected as well. But that means you need to spend time and effort here. Some things in the church are just more fun than others. I know that. But because overall we are a volunteer organization, we need devoted people who are willing to do the not so fun stuff as well. Not everyone enjoys meetings. I get it. But committee work helps make sure the church runs well and we're engaging the many talents, gifts, and suggestions of our people. Pulling weeds in the gardens or picking up sticks after a big windstorm aren't on the top of many people's lists, but those actions still need to be done. But what's amazing is that in a church like ours, there are opportunities for everyone to use their skills. If you like kids, volunteer for Vacation Bible School. If you're administrative, head up a committee or lead an event. If you like to cook, sign up to make treats for after worship on a Sunday. And volunteering like this doesn't mean that you have to commit for every single week. To be devoted means to be loving or loyal to something. If you aren't able to attend or volunteer every time, it doesn't mean you're not devoted. You help as you're able, but in a loyal and loving fashion that may well cost a bit of sacrifice, but it doesn't mean everything in your life needs to change. If that's what God is calling you to do, make a complete change in your life, then great. But each of us is in a different place in our faith journey. We can be devoted without becoming a pastor. But it does take understanding that this is an important part of your life. You want to please God, and that what you do for God makes a difference. Be willing to really examine your commitment to God, Jesus, the church, and see if you are being called to become even more devoted in your actions. Secondly, it's an unwritten rule that Christians are supposed to gather together. We may no longer all live together under one roof. I can't even imagine doing that. But the Christian faith community is supposed to meet. Ours is not a solitary religion. Yes, you can certainly live out your faith without a faith community. But in order to practice Jesus' teachings to the best extent, you need other people. And most of us need other people to keep us accountable and to provide support. So that means we're called to meet for worship, for Bible study, to break bread together, to have fun at social events, to do mission work together, to just enjoy company with a fellow believer who has similar values to us. Does that mean we all have to believe the same? No. Does it mean each of us will be best friends with every other person in church? No. Does it mean that we will see everything exactly eye to eye and there will be no disagreements and life will be perfect and everything will be basically heaven on earth? A big no to all of that. This isn't heaven. It's not supposed to be. We're all learning and growing and going on a journey. Everything will be perfect at some point in the future. Our God has assured us of that. But in the meantime, those who follow Jesus meet and encourage each other to stay strong and do what's right in this world, a world that doesn't always make that very easy to accomplish. And lastly, it shouldn't have to be written down that Christians are glad, generous, and joyful people. Too often in the media, Christians are portrayed as glum, sad, or downright depressing. I'm assuming that's because often people who only have an outsider's view of the faith concentrate on only what we shouldn't do, being mindful of the established rules and regulations that are in the Bible, as well as what should be done to help others and not just ourselves. That translates to a lot of people thinking that Christianity is a faith that concentrates only on what you can't have, what you can't do. But I've found my faith to be just the opposite. It's freed me to enjoy this life so much more because I'm not always just trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I'm not chasing after every new thing that promises happiness for a fleeting second. In the Christian faith, we find purpose, relationship, and success, and that provides lasting joy, much better than the fleeting kind that is offered elsewhere. And when a person is content, they are much more willing to provide for others, out of their wealth, out of their time, out of their talent. And thus the world becomes a better and happier place. Verse 46 states that the early church ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of people. And why not? The early Christians knew they were blessed. They had the joy of Jesus in them. They were a strong support system for each other. They helped others, which gave them a good review in their community. If we can only do that now, we will be happier in this life, and the church will be viewed as a positive beacon of light, attracting people to God's love. What's not to be joyful about that? There are lots of unwritten rules out there. What's funny is that I found a lot of them written down on the internet this week. Some of the best ones I found were as follows. If you borrow something more than 3 times, you need to buy one yourself. When someone finishes telling you a story, don't one-up them by telling one of your own. Listen, empathize, and recognize that you don't have to be the center of every conversation. Don't point out a flaw in someone if it can't be fixed in 30 seconds or less. If a person has a piece of spinach in their teeth, tell them nicely. If you don't like their clothes, keep it to yourself. Be kind to people working in customer service. It's likely that most people haven't been kind to them lately. Say thank you when someone does something nice for you. And don't leave your shopping cart in the middle of the aisle, even if you're with it. Keep to the side if at all possible. This is my own pet peeve. I'll leave it at that. It happened to me this week. I know I like my rules, but I find that life stays focused and on an even pace when the rules are followed. They can't be all the time. I know that. And sometimes they shouldn't be followed when they're incorrect, outdated, or even abusive. But I've also seen what can happen when rules, both written and unwritten, are just thrown to the wind and chaos erupts. We've seen it in sporting events when players and fans storm the field, fights occur, and at times bloodshed and even death happens. All because rules meant to provide civility and fairness were ignored. In the church, hopefully those extremes don't happen. But there can be hurt feelings, ministry not accomplished, and at the very least, there isn't as much joy in the journey as there could be. Let us be willing to understand rules in this life and why they're there, comprehending what can happen when we don't follow them. And let us be willing to experience the enjoyment that occurs when we do what God wants us to. Our faith just might supply us with rules that provide the best life possible. Amen. And now we will have our middle song, which is just a simple one. It's a short one. We're going to sing it through twice, the chorus of number 507, and it's Through It All. And at this time, we will share in our joys and our concerns for this day. We're lifting up we didn't have much this week until all of a sudden in the last day, a lot of things came through. We lift up David Barber, who is Julie McCutcheon's niece's husband. Is he still in the intensive care unit right now? Yes, he is. So we need to keep him in our prayers, David Barber. We also lift up Caleb, and how do you say his last name, Anna? Eichste, Caleb Eichste, who is Anna's great-nephew. He is 3 years old, and he's been diagnosed with cancer. So we need to lift up Caleb. He has a long haul in front of him, but with doctors and nurses and lots of love and prayers, he'll do well. We also pray for a lot of people who are recovering from surgery right now, whether recent surgery or the long term. We just pray for all of you. We want to lift up the Swans and the Hudson's cousin, their cousin Liz's husband, Dave. He had surgery on Monday to remove a brain tumor. All went well, but they weren't able to get it all, so he now has a long recovery and many treatments ahead as well. We do lift up all the people who have cancer. There's a number of people, of course, in our congregation, as well as people touched, whose relatives and friends are touched by this as well. And today we also lift up prayers for Tom Sneed's brother John. He has been diagnosed with bone cancer in the last little bit, so we pray for him. We also want to lift up Arlene Peters. She is currently at Liberty Village. She is recovering after a fall, so she hopes to be out in the next week or so, but we lift up Arlene. We also want to lift up Judy Harris's brother, Charles. He is currently back in the hospital. We also lift up Brian Husted. He is currently at OSF in Peoria. He went in earlier this week for an abscess and will be having a procedure tomorrow to be able to remove that abscess. So please keep Brian in your prayers. And I also want to just say it's always a joy to meet people that you haven't met for a long time. I got an email from a friend from college that I have not seen since college earlier this week. And then on Friday, I went down to see my aunt and help her with a few things on my day off. And she needed to get some groceries, so we were going into Sam's Club in Davenport. And I noticed two people from my Morrison church that I haven't seen for 4 years walking in at exactly the same time in another state. So that's pretty neat when that happens. So it's just a joy to be able to make those reconnections when they happen. So I think that's all that I had for today. So if you'll please bow your heads for the pastoral prayer, then we'll say our Lord's Prayer together. Holy God, we thank you for the example of Jesus, who made prayer the bedrock of his life and taught us to do the same. Through prayer, he received strength to choose faithfulness rather than give in to temptation. Through prayer, he remained connected to you and was sustained by your Spirit for the work of ministry. Through prayer, he was able to heal, teach, forgive, and to call people to ministry. Through prayer, he met the trials of life with grace. He refused to react in anger. He refused to blame or condemn. Merciful Savior, grant us a deeper desire for prayer as we seek to follow Christ's example. And as we receive the blessings of prayer in our lives, we use this communication with you to lift up the important things on our minds and hearts this day. We ask your love and healing to be upon all those who are hurting, grieving, recovering, depressed, sad, or starting a new chapter in their lives. And we ask that your joy be a part of our lives now and always, letting us remember that our eternity is set with you, no matter what the day's circumstances may bring. We pray all this through the amazing grace of your Son, Jesus Christ, who taught all of his followers to pray together, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And as always, we take time to say thank you to everyone who helps with the service, for all those who are helping today, for those who set it up, for those who come in and do amazing work during the week as well, for all the people who are behind the scenes. We thank you so much. And we also thank everyone who chooses to give of their money to be able to help our ministry continue in our community and around the world. We just say thank you. And for those of you who are in the sanctuary, you're welcome to put any offerings in the plates that are located at the exits of the sanctuary. For those joining us at home, you're welcome to mail it in, put it in the locked white box outside the main church doors, or to give through PayPal. And if you'll please bow your heads with me now for our offering prayer, and then as you're able, stand and sing our doxology. O God, we have thirsted, and you've provided water. We've been hungry, and you've fed us. We've been unfocused, and you've given us your peace. So now may our offerings and our lives witness to all the good that you do in this world. Amen. Those tulips have really opened up, haven't they? My goodness, just in the time that they've been here at the church. If you're able, please remain standing for our closing hymn, number 365, Grace Greater Than Our Sin. We'll sing the first, second, and fourth verses. Have to say it is a joy to have the kids back acolyting, most definitely. Again, thank you to everyone who helped, and look, I'm getting you out 5 minutes early. Pretty nice, pretty nice. Here, please hear our benediction. God gives us the opportunity to follow rules in this world. Not all of them will be able to be followed. That's understandable, and that's why God's grace is available to each of us. But if we follow the rules that God gives us, life will be so much better, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. Do your best, allow God's grace to fall upon you, and receive the joy that only God can give. Go in the peace, love, and joy of our Lord.